All right, so today I want to talk to you guys about the 7 business principles and practices for real estate. Why this is important is because a lot of people are forgetting, and some of the people who really need this aren't here with us today, but hopefully they're going to watch this. It's all about how you treat your clients, right? If you want to survive in this business, it's not about how many clients you can get, it's how many you can keep and keep getting business from. So these are some things that we need to get in the habit of doing so we can always give our clients the best service ever. Because in this business, we're in a service industry. We're always only as good as our last dealing with our clients. So we always want to make sure that they're happy with whatever we're saying, whatever we're doing. Their expectations that they're getting from us are always met. You never want to under-deliver when you're dealing with people who have a choice of other people they can work with. You know, if they're giving you their business, they're giving you money on a silver platter, you better be very grateful for that. And you got to understand that sometimes in this business, you do have to adjust for other people. So let's go ahead and get started with the first thing that I wanted to cover. So the first business principle that I want to talk to you guys is about responding quickly. Responding quickly doesn't necessarily mean always have an answer, but it does mean that you got to treat their time respectfully. So if you don't have a client yet and somebody sends a request for information, a lead per se, you want to get back to that lead as soon as possible, right? An hour in the internet time is equivalent to a year. So if you guys are taking an hour or more to reply to a lead, it's way too long. They want that information right away. They want that information yesterday. So try to get into the habit of taking every phone call, responding to every email, every text message lead you can get. When Conversion sends you a notification on your phone that says, look, this person was looking at this house, would you like us to connect you? Don't be scared and say, oh, you know what, I'd just rather send them a text. Get that phone call connected to you, get on the phone with that person right away. Even if that person says, hey, I'm not interested right now, I was just browsing your site, no worries. Everybody browses our sites, but when you are ready, please give me a call. I'm your guy. Oh, by the way, did you know about these properties that we have off market? Oh, you know what? No, I didn't. So it's an opportunity for you to give some value to these people while you're on the phone with them. Just because they tell you they're not interested at the moment, it doesn't mean that they aren't. It just means that they don't want to be committed to anyone at the moment. So you could always find little things to tell them to add value to why it's important to work with a qualified agent. Okay, answering all your calls like I spoke about before is super important. I want you guys to get into the habit of not even looking at your phone and just answering it. Not if you have an earpiece or you have something of the sort, or even if you just look at your phone and don't recognize the number, just answer it. Answer every single phone call. I know some people are like scared that, oh, it might be someone I don't want to talk to. There shouldn't be one single person that you don't want to talk to in this business. If you think it's someone that's mad at you, answer it anyway, because you never know. That person could be calling you for something else than screaming at you or collecting money or whatever. It might be something that's actually very valuable. So always answer calls. And if you can't answer the call, like with me, it happens a lot. I'm on multiple phone calls at once. You want to call that person back immediately. You know, those are the things that always take precedence in what you're doing during the day. Always get back to people. Now, email and text messages, once you become very busy, are going to be some of the hardest things for you to get back to. But make sure that before the day's over, respond to your emails and your text messages that same day. As you get busier, this becomes a daunting task. Believe me, you get hundreds of emails, you get 10s and 20s and 30s of texts, or however many texts people get during the day, but it starts to become really kind of overwhelming. But this is something everyone needs to get in the habit of doing. I'm sure right now it's okay, it's manageable, you guys are doing it, but keep this in mind once you guys get busier. Okay, now can anyone give me an example? I want an example for every one of these items. Can anyone give me an example of how responding quickly as opposed to responding slowly has affected you in one business transaction or another? And I don't want anybody being shy in this room. There's nobody that should be shy. And I don't want to hear the same person over and over again. I want people to go up to collaborate. If not, I'll start picking. Hugo. Took too long. Took too long.
See, that's why I don't want to sit there.
Took too damn long. All right, you're next though.
I think picking up the phone and calling the person has lost me a deal or a sale or just anything that I would have benefited from. I just don't know any particular specifics, to be honest with you. But I know it's happened for sure. Actually, I know that I didn't call this one client here, and they ended up listing it with a completely different agent who they originally had planned on it. So they could have been calling me just because of a call that I made to them, but I didn't answer the phone because I didn't know who the number was. But I know for sure they relisted with somebody else. But I guess I'll never know.
Not making a call is just as bad as not taking a call. Sometimes I get private numbers calling me, and you know, obviously private numbers are those numbers from other states. A lot of times they're solicitors, but sometimes they're not. And some of those times when I've answered those private numbers have been the best phone calls I've ever gotten. One time I got a private call, a private call, an out-of-state number, and it was Fannie Mae calling me to tell me I had just received a Fannie Mae account. You know, like it's important for you guys to get into the habit of answering all those calls. You know, unknown calls could be the bank calling you telling you your short sale is approved, or you just need one document to get it approved. So always important. All right, number two, the principle number two I want to talk about is anticipate your client's wishes rather than just responding to them. This is what's going to separate you between an average real estate agent and a super real estate agent or luxury agent. Luxury agents, they deal in a space where people are very, how would I say, probably very anal. They expect so much. They expect so much from everyone because they are very high productive people. You know, these are people who make, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. So in order to be successful to that magnitude in life, you have to be a very organized person, very competent person, and a person who knows how to show results. So if they're hiring a real estate agent and you're not showing results and you're not addressing their problems before they become problems, then you're gonna be eaten alive. Exactly, you're gonna get fired. So if you guys wanna separate yourselves from a normal agent and go into the space of being maybe a luxury agent, you need to embrace number two. So if you know something might be a problem, address it before they do, right? Now this could be a magnitude of things. So for instance, I'll give you an example. Recently we had a client who needed to rent their house as soon as possible. And this person just bought this home, paid a lot of money for it, and they wanted to rent it as soon as possible. Now they were getting a ton of showings, which was great, but no one had pulled the trigger. Nobody had committed to that house yet. So that person was starting to get nervous. So that person started to reach out to us and say, hey, what's going on? Why is my house not rented yet? You know, why haven't I gotten a tenant? And that person started to get nervous and thought we weren't doing our job. And meanwhile, we were getting back to, you know, 10, 20 people a day, showing the property multiple times a day. And there was a lot of activity there and we're busting our butt. So how is it fair that we're killing ourselves and then we're getting slack from the homeowner? The reason why is because we're not telling the homeowner what we're doing. The homeowner cannot predict what we're doing when they're not present. So even though like we're doing what we're supposed to do, we can't expect the client to think that we're doing what we're supposed to do. So always be in communication, always give feedback, always give reports, always address a problem before there is one. And so if you feel that house maybe is got a problem, maybe the house has got a bad boiler, or maybe the house has got asbestos, or maybe the house is overpriced, you want to address these problems before they come and address the problem to you. If they're addressing a problem to you, they're doing your job. You know, at that point, they're like, why do I even need you if I'm telling you what to do? Number two is important. Can anybody give me an example of how you want to beat your client to the punch and you don't want to anticipate them asking you for, changes or asking you for opinions on things before you do? Harry?
Like you had told me a while ago, just overwhelm them with feedback.
Yes.
Whatever it is, small, big, doesn't matter. Just always beat them to the punch so that, you know, they feel like you're on top of your game. And I don't think they're going to get annoyed.
No.
I think they're going to be happy that you're overwhelming with them. And I need to step my game up on that for sure.
Yeah.
And just overwhelm people, because some clients can care less and don't want to be bothered. And then there's clients that want to know every little thing. So, you know, if you feel like you're being annoying, you're not, because they're going to be happy because they feel like they're a part of everything and they know what's going on, versus not hearing from you for a week. A week doesn't seem that long, but for them it feels like a year.
Have you ever called someone just to tell them there's nothing new and just said, hey, there's nothing going on right now, I just wanted to give you a call, let you know I'm still working here for you?
Absolutely, because we had that with the house in Sparta. We really haven't had activity and just kept them up to date that we're doing everything we can. We boosted on social media.
Yeah.
We're doing everything that we can, but there's nothing just going on right now.
Now, how weird, has anyone been in this room where they experienced this? How weird does it get when you have a listing that doesn't sell and you don't call your client and then a month goes by and then you're like, oh my God, he's calling me. You're like, holy
The
man.
longer it goes,
Yeah,
the
it's
less you're gonna
awkward.
come in.
It's awkward, and I've seen agents to the point where they're so awkward and turned off by it that they refuse to answer the phone for that client and they lose the listing. Go ahead,
And I think that's what's gonna separate you from when the listing agreement is up. If you didn't give them feedback and stay on top, they're definitely going with someone else.
Oh,
'Cause they're gonna
absolutely.
say, this guy never called me, he just hung it up on the
You
MLS
gotta
and
show
forgot
them what
about
you're doing
me.
for 'em.
Versus someone that's giving constant feedback, knowing that you're hustling, doing all
Yeah.
that you can, they'll renew it with you, I believe.
Yeah. Okay, that's awesome. Let's move on to number 3. This is kind of this similar topic. You want to share information with your clients, right? The more the better, just like Harry just said. So you always want to give periodic reports and add their email to showing time. How many people here know that you can add the homeowner's email address to showing time? That way every time there's let's just say it's a vacant house, right? Let's say the house is vacant. Let's just pretend they don't live in that house. So they don't have to be notified for every showing. Let's pretend it's vacant. You can add their address in there, your email address in there as a FYI. So that way every time there's a showing, they know there's a showing. What's up?
Does that also give them the feedback from the agent or no?
I don't believe it gives them the feedback automatically. You would have to manually send them the report. Yeah, so put it in your calendar to have yourself or someone in your team send out that report to that client once a week, right? And if you're not getting enough showings to have a report once a week, then there's a bigger problem. You need to talk about reducing the price because there's no reason why a house is going to be shown in this market. Okay, next thing you need to know is learn how to give bad news, right? We are all good at giving great news. Or an offer came in full price, offer came in 10 grand over, right? You want to be the one to deliver that news. But what happens when an offer comes in 50 grand under? Or what happens when you get a phone call and someone tells you that, you know, since you guys haven't cut the grass in 2 weeks, you're going to get a fine for 200. I mean, like, there's a lot of things you can call. The deal just died, you know, like mortgage didn't go through. You know, the loan officer calls you and says, the person lost their job. Sorry, they ain't buying your house. You know, how easy is it to give that news? You know, that's what's going to separate you guys from other real estate agents, you know, and they're always going to yell at the messenger, for sure. It's a given, right? They're going to yell at you. But it's how you handle that situation that's going to separate you from everyone else. Now, before you call, the biggest piece of advice I can tell you is find a solution before you make that phone call. Because if you call and you say the deal's dead, and they ask you, okay, what's next? And you're like, you don't want to get stuck like that, okay? Don't have your back to the wall. When you call, you want to make sure you have a plan B. Plan B is, don't worry, we're going to take it down, refresh the pictures, put a new open house this week, and we'll make it look like a brand new listing. We'll get more offers in. You know, something, anything. But you want to be confident in what's the next move because they paid you to guide them through this process, not to like get caught with your hands down, and then, you know, it just becomes their ideas versus your ideas. You've got to be leading
Have
this.
a plan before you come.
Exactly, have a plan in place. Don't assume they know what you think is common knowledge, right? A lot of us, since we've been in this business so long, we're desensitized to the vocabulary. We're desensitized to how the process goes or what's next, you know? Just because we know doesn't mean they know, okay? So always educate your client as much as possible. Even if they tell you, oh, thank you, Louis, for telling me that, but I already knew that, it's okay. I'm like, you know, and you tell them, like, I'm sorry if I'm boring you with this stuff, but I want to make sure I'm very thorough with you, and I want to make sure I don't leave anything to guessing game. So always make sure that they know every single process, every step of the way, everything, like almost like treat them as children or first day agents. You know, you want to make sure they know everything about the process. If it's a short sale, you tell them this is how it happens every step of the way through the short sale. If it's a new listing, you tell them this is the way it's going to work with the new listing every step of the way. If it's a buyer, you coach the buyer on what's going to happen through all the steps of the way. You let the buyer know. How about if you do this? What if you did a meeting with the buyer and you told the buyer, hey, listen, before when we submit this offer, this is what's going to happen, right? We're going to submit our offer. They're going to come back with a counter. We're going to counter their counter. We may go back 2 or 3 times. So it's expected. So don't get offended, right? You've already alleviated them and set the expectations, right? Once you get an offer that's accepted, now we're going to go into attorney review. These attorneys are going to try everything in their power to kill these deals, but just stay calm and we'll get through that, right? Then you do your home inspection, but don't worry, the home inspection is going to be like the end of the world, but it's not really the end of the world. Everything that's going to be on there is going to be resolvable, either with a credit or either with the homeowner fixing the stuff that needs to be done. Now, it's my job to make sure that you don't get yourself into a bad situation. So just because you see that a house has termites doesn't mean it's going to fall to pieces. We'll get contractor estimates, we'll do everything. I guarantee you, if you take this time to educate your buyers on the process. When they do get that report, they're gonna feel like, oh, you know what, Harry told us about this, or you know, Margaret said that this is gonna happen. So you know, now I'm a little bit more calm because he told me, you know, these things could happen. So it's not like my house is the only one that has that. So it's good to set these expectations, go walk through the steps, even the closing process, because how stressful is the closing process for most buyers and sellers? It's the worst thing in the world, right? It's like they don't even want to review you after that because they think you're the one that put everybody up to the closing the way it does. You know, they're never given enough time. You know, it's always a surprise. The house is never empty. There's always garbage. There's always this. There's always that. But if you take the time to let them know that, hey, listen, the closing process may be a little bit, you know, quirky at times, and there may be some unexpected things that arise, but believe me, I'll be with you every step of the way. Don't think that I don't have your best interest. And you know, even if you have to pay a mover to go and move the rest of the junk out of that house, it'll cost you $100, $200 or something to pay someone to go take some garbage out. It's much better to keep that client happy than it is to let them think that, you know, this guy doesn't even care. He got his commission check, or this girl got her commission check and left me out to dry. You know, because you want to always stay in that person's life after that. Okay, so anyone could give an example on how educating their client or giving as much information as they need has helped you in a way? Anyone can give me some info? Yes?
I had a first-time home buyer who didn't know the process, how to buy a home, and was very apprehensive about even looking at homes. So I went through, you know, what a buyer's agent, like what their job was, and what his expectation should be of me and what I was going to deliver to him, and what I was going to take him through to purchase a home, and he was very grateful for that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what we should be doing.
They're more comfortable that way.
Yeah, much more comfortable. One thing that comes to my memory is that Trish told me that a lot of the agents in her previous office, what they would do, or agents are doing now in the luxury space, when you're representing a buyer, you submit an Oprah request right away. What the Oprah request is all the information that you could possibly need for a home. So let's just say there's a home for sale on the Scotch Plains today, and we went under contract, right? How is that home buyer going to feel when it's the ninth inning? We're about to close, right? Everything's about to go down, and then we find out there's some unpaid taxes, or we find out there's open permits, or we find out there's like a judgment for, I don't know, water, sewer, or whatever. When you submit an Oprah request in the beginning, you find out everything that's wrong with that house. And some attorneys don't even do this, but you've done something that costs almost nothing to do, and you've gotten this information ahead of time for your buyers. Now your buyers are going to be like, wow, this person really like went above and beyond what they're supposed to do, because I was never trained to do that.
What do you call it?
The Oprah request. Open,
Oh,
yeah, it's
Open
Public Records Act, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, that's something that I would love to see everybody in this office do. You know, be very, very proactive. This is something you guys are going to get so much praise for. Okay, moving along. Number 4. Be patient when filling positions in your real estate firm or your team. Now, there's a saying that goes, hire slow and fire fast. And it's really important when your people are the face of your brand. If you're hiring people to work on your team, or if you're hiring people one day to work in your brokerage, the people that you hire are going to be representing what you're trying to embody and envision on every transaction. So you always want to be very confident of who you're bringing on board. Ask the right questions, give them the right scenarios. Make sure you train them, because they don't know what they don't know. So if you don't train them properly, you know, they could also compromise your company. Tom, is there anything you can say about that? Because I know you're big on that.
You gotta, the education's important, because if you don't know what you're talking about, you're getting a job interview every time you meet with a customer. And hey, if you don't know, they're gonna realize you don't know. Especially now, we had a class a while ago talking about buyers, and we said, do buyers know the inventory as well as we do now? Yes,
Of course.
sure they do. So if you go out there and you say, well, they say to you, what did this one up the street sell for, blah, blah, blah. Which one are you talking about? I'm not familiar with that. I mean, you're dead. You're dead. You've got to stay ahead of it all the time. That's the important part of it. And the education part of it is how you stay ahead.
I agree. Okay, so moving along to number 5. Number 5 is completely nail your hellos and goodbyes. This is actually something that I just picked up on, and this actually makes a lot of sense. You know, who here has heard the expression that like your first impressions are everything? but what they don't tell you is also your final impression means a lot as well. So people remember more what you make them feel like than what you say, right? So if Tom came up here and cracked a bunch of jokes, we would know that Tom's a really funny guy, but if we were asked to repeat one of the jokes, we probably couldn't remember them, right? 5 years from now, we wouldn't remember a single one. Exactly, but if Tom left here with everyone's belly, bursting because of, they're laughing so much, everyone would have a really, really positive outlook on whenever Tom walked into the room. So the same thing goes with you guys. I'm not saying be a comedian, but you want to make your clients feel very comfortable, and you want to make your clients feel that you're a very confident person as well. If you present yourself with a level of confidence and knowledge, and you're very, how would I say, excited to meet with them, if you speak that way, they'll remember how you first met them, and they'll also remember how you said goodbye. So if you say goodbye in a manner where, Tom, I don't know if you want to add it, but if you say goodbye in a manner where you know that it was an extreme pleasure on your part to meet that person, and you make them feel very warm, that you will do everything in your power to make sure you meet their expectations, or whatever the case may be, they're going to remember how you said hello, and they'll remember how you said goodbye, and that makes so much sense.
If you're going to meet with them again, like hopefully you're going to do, use the words "I look forward to." Project it into the future. I'm excited. I look forward to you coming in here Saturday afternoon or whatever it is. But project it into the future with a little enthusiasm. And if you're showing houses, we talked about this in the class a while ago, you can say things like, I've got 4 houses. I thought I had 3 houses to show you Saturday, but I've got another one. It's a nice house, blah, blah, blah. Project stuff into the future at the end, always.
Who here can remember a time when either they said hello or goodbye to someone, or someone said hello or goodbye to them, and it completely stuck in your head for a long time of how that person made you feel?
Are we good, Dan?
No, hold on. Let me get closer to you.
Okay.
Okay.
You want to see the 5 o'clock
Trying to
chat?
see the 3 chin hairs compared to Hugo. But I can go back to when I met Harry. I met him when he came into
Rock, I got no more money to write checks talking about it, bro.
But I met Harry when he came into the restaurant that I worked at, and I got a good vibe off him. And what he said to me obviously stuck in my head, because 6 months later I reached out to him, and obviously that's why I'm standing here today. If I never met him, I'd be somewhere else. So,
Same with me. If I didn't met him, I wouldn't be here either.
yeah, obviously what he said to me stuck in my head, and that's why I'm here.
Yeah, it's one gift that Harry has that I don't know if he's even realized he has it, is the way he makes other people feel.
He does.
Yeah, but it's in you. It's just the way you are and the way you speak to people. You make people feel like, first of all, you have a presence, and then second of all, you make them feel very accepted.
People feel good about knowing you.
Yeah,
This makes me feel good about myself.
that's true. That's right.
Part of
Tom.
it.
Okay, all right, let's move on with number 6. Strive to remember and acknowledge each returning client in a personal manner. Right, so we may think we know our clients, but do we really know our clients? There's been times when I heard Gary Vaynerchuk had a client that used to go to his liquor store who was a big Jets fan. I forget which football player he liked on the Jets. So this is a guy who came in and bought a case of expensive wine like at least once a month. So he sent them a personalized autographed jersey of the football player they really liked to his home. And that showed how much, not only that you care, but that you really listen to what your clients like. I'm not saying spend, the hundreds of dollars that you probably spent on a jersey on your client, but sometimes it's the little things like remembering their birthday, giving them a call, sending them a card, or remembering that they like, certain, things, and maybe get them a little gift from here and there. Danny's excellent with things like that. Danny pays attention to what people like, and then he always remembers them. So, if we can all take a little bit out of everybody and then just, make one person, it would be the perfect
I
person.
think sometimes that can be a little hard because you have so many clients,
You
you
do.
get overwhelmed, but if
Exactly.
you remember to just be in the moment
Mhm.
and then also be authentic and genuine
Absolutely.
and be engaged, then afterwards go into your calendar and write a note to yourself. That would really help.
Yeah, if you could pick one thing of every client that might be personalized to you, something that they like or something that they don't like or whatever, you just know their preferences, and you can show them a little gratitude, it goes so far. What's up, Hack?
Mario kind of blew my mind when we went on this listing appointment yesterday. He's actually brought a gift. I've never done that.
So listing appointment, yeah.
Yeah, just like a few soaps wrapped up in a bow, just something to give to start off.
Yeah.
being grateful for the opportunity to kind of like to break bread with them to start off.
Absolutely. A lot of agents still don't even give their clients gifts at closings, which is something that I think you should all be doing. And I'll let Sophie talk about this because Sophie found last week when we were at our real estate conference, she listened to a speaker who was saying that he doesn't spend any money on marketing. He spends all his money on spoiling his clients. So can you tell us what you learned about that?
Yeah, he said that after he sells them a house, he makes sure that there's like toilet paper and napkins and tissues and cleaning supplies, the
Boxes for
boxes,
moving.
yeah, for moving, and also like a gift card to clean their car a week later after they move. And also remember like their anniversaries or birthdays and send them like a gift card to go to a nice restaurant with like a taxi or Uber or something to pick them up and go. So,
Imagine if your client got a gift card from you a year from now or 6 months from now, and an Uber card, so that way they don't even have to drive. What kind of feeling would that person have? They would almost feel indebted to you to get you another referral, get you somebody that's looking for buying or selling a home. So little things, you don't have to spend a lot of money on this stuff, and you should always budget for it. So don't go out and like if you're strapped for cash, obviously you don't have to go and spend hundreds of dollars for your clients. You could always do small things, nice things, pop up by a house, door knock, maybe just bring like a cup of coffee or something, anything. But if you do a closing, take out your normal 5% for your marketing or whatever, right? Put that to the side if that's what you want to do. And maybe you want to take out maybe like another 2% just for like for that person over the course of the next year, sending them little things here and there, maybe a little, thank you notes and maybe flowers for, their anniversary on their house or gift card, whatever it could be. It goes a long way. Last thing I want to say about that is sometimes you just need to take a break to get to know your client. So what if you saw 5 houses with your client that day and they're driving you up the wall, they're like, can't make a decision about anything. What if you just drove them to like a Starbucks and just spent like an extra 10 minutes with them and just sat down, toned it down, didn't talk about business, just got into their personal life. Maybe they'll reveal their cards to you and tell you that, I got a really sick aunt, and that's the reason why I'm moving, because she's moving in with me, and you never know what you're gonna get from these clients when you just take some time to get to know, what's really fueling and what's making them tick. All right, let's move on to number 7. Be better than your competition, right? This is what we all strive to do, right? Not that we are in competition with each other in this office here, but let's just think about like another office, or let's just think about another agent who we're constantly seeing when we're going to listing appointments, right? How can you be better than your competition, right? If your competitor is doing something that works, there's nothing wrong with doing what they're doing. Absolutely not. Nothing wrong, but just do it better. You just gotta find a way to make that process better than what they do. If they're making 200 phone calls a day, find a way to make 300 phone calls a day, 500 phone calls a day, and learn your scripts better than them. Be the professional at it. Or if they're sending mailers every time they get a listing to 200 homes, send a mailer to 400 homes. If it's working for your competition and they're at a level where you want to be, you need to do the same thing, but only do it better. And if you can't do it better, and this is what I always preach, if you can't do it better, then do it more consistent. Consistency will always beat out perfection every single time. Some people get busy as they get successful, so they may not be as able to do these things as constant as you are. And if you're newer in this business and you're just getting your feet wet in it, you can definitely figure out a time and when you can do certain activities and things that will bring you the results that you need. So if there's somebody that you look up to, if there's someone that you're want to try to imitate, or someone that you want to beat in this business, find out what they're doing. It's not a secret, they are always on social media telling you what they're doing, or word travels quickly, or people in this office are even doing some great stuff. Do exactly what another person is doing that's successful, and just find a way to be more consistent with it. And that'll go a really long way. Who can I hear about this? Who can tell me about this? Ella, you want to tell? Because Ella, you've been very consistent. Can you tell me what you've been doing that works for you?
So my biggest thing is scaling. As soon as Lou told me what I had to do in order to get where I wanted to go, I jumped right into it. So I have somebody that's cold calling for the past two months or so. And it's been going really well. I think I have a good amount of listings, a couple of closings that are scheduled. I'm double ending multiple deals, a couple flips that are coming out of the calling. So it's definitely been keeping me extremely busy. Definitely. and it's just the consistency.
Absolutely. So before you were able to teach your admin to make these calls, obviously you had to learn how to do it first, right? So as soon as you learn how to do it, you're like, wow, there's got to be a better way, right?
Yeah. As soon as I think I did it on a Saturday afternoon. I think I did it for like 2 hours. And I'm like, I can't. I'm not gonna be able to do
Juggle
both of them
everything.
and grow
Yeah.
like at the level that I want to grow. So I figured that I had somebody that was working for me doing something different, and I figured that maybe I can outsource that position,
Yeah.
make that full time, and then just be able to roll with it. So
And
that's what I've been doing, and it's been pretty sweet.
It definitely worked, right?
Yeah.
That's smart. Yeah, you also have to know what you're good at, right? Just because we're not good at some things in this business doesn't mean that we shouldn't do it, or we just have to find a way to go around it and get it done regardless, because there is no two ways about it. Prospecting is where it is. You know, you can market and wait for the business to come to you, or you can go out there on a hunt and look for your business. So combination of both is really good and healthy. And we'll talk about the marketing aspect, I guess, on another day, but definitely something that you guys want to get into, these 7 habits. Obviously, there's probably 1,001 habits that you can do. These are some of the 7 habits that I think you can all get in tune with, and it'll definitely help you guys out with your business. Now, before I close out, I just want to make a couple announcements. Last week, Lim and her team embodied exactly what I envisioned for the office, which was Lim was one over here, Carlos was over there, Derek was over there, and they're all making phone calls at the same time. And the amount of energy that created, for me at least, it just felt like, oh my God, this is what you need, because she's competing with Carlos, and Carlos is here and Derek, and they're feeding off each other. And she had like 6 listing appointments from that one calling session. Carlos had I don't know how many. Derek was picking up on a lot of stuff and learning a lot of things as they went along. But it was from that boiler room style prospecting session that really, it really fueled me to say, you know what if we got everyone involved to kind of do the same thing at the same time, or in the same area, or in the same office, and at the same time, help each other, listen to other people's dialogue, feed off each other's energy. If someone just get off the phone and like, wow, I just got this $600,000 listing appointment, unbelievable. You know what? Maybe my comfort zone was only $300,000 houses. And now I'm looking at you and I see you as my peer. I'm like, oh, if you can do a $600,000 house, I shouldn't be sweating a $600,000 house. I'll call it $600,000 house as well. So I would like to encourage everyone every morning, because that's the best time for me and I think everyone else to do their prospecting. That's when people have the most energy. That's when people have the most, I would say the day hasn't gotten in front of them yet. You call people sometimes towards the end of the day, they might have had a terrible day. Might not be the right time to call. But I feel like if you guys really want to turn it up, come to the office. You guys can use the calling rooms downstairs if you want the privacy, but if you want the energy, call from right here. The other day I was going to help Rocco make the calls. We were calling from right here, hoping that other people would come around and see us making calls too.